Hello and welcome, this is Ageless John. Last episode I showed you the if-then-else statement. In this episode I'm going to go over the switch statement. As a personal option, if you ever find yourself needing to use a control flow statement and either an if-then-else statement or a switch statement will do, my personal advice to you is to use the switch statement. I've had problems with the if-then-else statements while programming, and I personally just find the switch statement to be a lot less error prone. Okay, to the basic format of the switch statement. This is what the basic format looks like. You'll see switch, a variable to test, and we'll see this in our sample code. Then we'll have a case with a value which will be tested against the variable. Then we'll have a code here or statement, and then something called a break, and I'll show you how that works in the example as well. And you can have multiple cases, as this one has two. And then finally we'll have another sort of like end of an if-else statement. It's a default, and if nothing else is true, it will go to the default and execute whatever's in the default. So there'll be another statement there. So let's look at the example code. This is the first one, the switch months. Basically what this is I've created an integer called my month and assigned it to 1. You don't really have to assign it to 1, but I did. Notice I'm also importing the scanner class so the programmer can get user input. After creating the new scanner object, the program will then ask the user to enter a month numbered between 1 and 12. This will then assign that number to the variable my month. Because there are 12 months, the switch, and notice where the argument or condition for the switch is just the variable. Then the case begins. Each case will check to see if the variable month is correct, meeting the condition. And if it is, it will then execute the code after it. Okay, let me run this and show you what it's like. Okay, notice that I chose 3 and it did print out March as the correct month. But then it also printed out all the months following. And this is because the switch does something called falling through. As soon as it hits a true condition, it will then execute that code for that condition, and then it will continue to follow through and fall through the rest, because once it finds a true condition, it will go through the rest without testing again to see if the next condition is true or not. It will just simply execute what's there. To avoid this, we're going to have to add that something that we saw earlier called a break. So let's look at the second code example, switch months break. I have added all the breaks. Just see all these breaks here? All right, so after every case and print line, there is a break, which will break the program out of the switch. In our case, since there's nothing afterwards, it simply ends the program. So let's run that and see how that looks. I also wanted to show you this sample code because I may have been using integers too much. And I just wanted to make sure that anyone watching this understands that you can use any of the primitive variables and strings to create a switch statement. In switch char break, I use a string in the switch. So there's the switch for you. Don't forget to check out the homework on the website, and there's some links down below about more information. Glad you could join me. I hope you learned something. And this has been Ageless John talking about switches, and I will see you around.